Hey everybody! Welcome back. Northernlion plays the Binding Rise AFTERBIRTH Plus. Look at style of freaking green mode, man. Not interested. Not yet. Not yet. Let's do Eve. We're a little light on the Eve achievements, or as I call them, achievements. AKDR T31B. What do you think is the optimum number of sequels? I'll tell you what inspired me to think this. T31. In my head, I was like, man, I wonder if we'll ever... Probably not in my lifetime, which is... I mean, hopefully at least like another 40 years would be probably on the side of average. And I was like, we probably won't hit Terminator 31 in my lifetime. Because we're on like Terminator 6 technically, right? There's Terminator 1, Judgment Day, Terminator 3, Salvation, Genesis... And that's it, maybe. If you count the TV show, it might be on 6. 31's not going to happen. That franchise was started before I was born. But it got me thinking what the optimum number of sequels is. I'm going to hit you with something that I think is non-controversial. 0 is like a really good number. We were talking about it on the NLSS, but like I really liked A Quiet Place. Came out in April or something like that. And we're kind of... we're in what I would consider to be like the best time for A Quiet Place. It was a fresh movie, successful, came out of basically nowhere, is what I want to say. Probably has a lot of Cinema Sins-esque potholes where you can be like, why didn't they just do this? Wait. And then everybody slowly will, I think over the course of like, when everybody on planet Earth has seen it, it will start to become like a Signs situation where they'll be like, oh, so... they're allergic to water, even though that's 70% of the atmosphere of planet Earth. You get the idea. But right now we're in like the golden age, where people are like, that movie's pretty fresh and fun. But they're making a sequel, because of course, in today's modern world, and I recognize that there's an irony in me saying this, when I'm on episode 40,000 of this show, but, you know, this is my podcast right now, more or less. This is the friggin' news. Either way, what was I going to say? I have no hope, and I won't say anything that spoils A Quiet Place, but I have no hope in that sequel whatsoever, despite really, really liking the first movie. Just what it comes down to is, like, just a movie that was self-contained, did not need a sequel. If they can convince me, more power to them. I'm going to stay in Horror Babylon for now. And I mean that with all sincerity. If you can make a sequel that refreshes the original, cool. Or not refreshes, but you know what I mean. Like, it keeps things fresh. Like Alien to Aliens, but that so rarely ends up happening. You know what other movie 100% did not need a sequel? Except for financial reasons? The Hangover. I can't imagine, literally, like, it's not like a very cerebral movie, would be a good way to describe it. Oh! And by... You know, when I say cerebral, what I mean is the movie is not cerebral. It's not like you're, oh, the lore of The Hangover got ruined by its blah blah. But still, you do kind of have to wonder at some point. You know, these men are consistently behaving so badly. Like, do they never learn? There's like no growth in those episodes or in those movies. The first one, there's a little bit of growth. You know, I won't spoil this. You know what? I will spoil The Hangover. If you haven't seen it, The Hangover 1 is a pretty good movie. I like it. I think it felt novel at the time that it came out. Then when they came out with the sequels, they undermined it. In the first movie, you know, everybody grows sort of. Ed Helms grows the most. You know, he learns he doesn't have to live with this abusive relationship that he's been in, and instead, you know, he can unbutton himself a little bit and have some fun. That's it. Like, you could have stopped it right there, but instead it sort of ends up becoming like, you know, they go to Thailand and then they reenact the events of The Hangover 1. And you're like, do you really need to have this epiphany whenever any one of you gets married? That just seems like you're really bad at learning. It's like making a second Wedding Crashers. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Or a second Zoolander, which I saw and was terrible. Or a second Dumb and Dumber. Or a third Dumb and Dumber, you know? You get the idea. I understand why. And some sequels, you know, they can surprise you. Hello? Hello? There we go. I mean, like, I really expected Blade Runner 2049 to be pretty bad, even though I've liked all of Denis Villeneuve's other work. I was like, come on, this sequel is coming out 32 years after the fact, or something like that. There's no way it turns out good. And then it turned out amazing. But, I don't know. I guess you gotta give him the chance to disappoint you, right? You gotta say, go ahead, you know, A Quieter Place, A Quiet Place 2, The Quietest Place, A Loud Place. You know, do what you're willing, do what you're able. This is very good. Our speed is so high, I think we go for broke. Look at that. Anyway. I don't really want to go to the curse room. I think I want to get the heck out of town. We want to keep pace because we're doing boss rush and stuff like that. Just don't... And it's not really like a modern invention, I think. Sometimes people are like, it's all sequels and remakes. Well, I think like 6 years ago at the movies, it was all sequels and remakes. Now it's sequels, remakes, less remakes, I think, and more everything has a cinematic universe. And like, if we haven't hit peak cinematic universe fatigue, we've started to hit it, but I don't think we're quite there yet. It worked. Like, people will point to probably the failure of The Mummy as being like, you know what, let's try. Let's go! They'll point... Oh, and now we want this for sure. They'll point to the failure of The Mummy as proof they were at, like, peak cinematic universe fatigue. I don't think that's the case. I think The Mummy failed because that movie is really, really bad. Not because people were like, I don't want to get invested in the dark universe from Universal Studios. Once we see, like, good movies start to be completely or largely ignored because of their cinematic universe potential, I think you're like, fair enough. That's where you're going to start to feel the burn. I don't know, I haven't watched that many movies lately. You know why? Because movies are not... Well, two reasons. One is I haven't been on a plane in, like, a few months. But I'm going to TwitchCon. I'll be on a plane for probably 2 hours. That's enough time to watch one movie. I gotta think. Dude, this is how I live my life now. So, I'm like, it's October when I'm on the plane. So there will probably be movies that have just left theaters. Because usually they show up in the in-flight entertainment system just before they come out on Blu-ray. Or sometimes around the same release window. So I'm trying to think. What will I watch? Did I even miss any movies this summer? I mean, many, yes. In hindsight, now that I think about it, I don't know. I can't conjure any images right now of movies that will be on that flight. But rest assured, I give it my deliberation. I usually, before a flight, I'll go on the airline's website and be like, what do you guys got? And they're like, on select flights, we're doing this. And I'm like, was my flight selected? And they're like, no, all you've got is Downsizing, starring Matt Damon. And I'm like, I love Alexander Payne, but I heard that movie was kind of horrible. I guess we'll open it. Like, Tammy's head is fine. You know what'd be cool is if you could get a non-Guppy transformation into a different cat by picking up Tammy's head and Guppy's head. Well, dude, Cricket's head is amazing here. Or if you could transform into a head by doing... Fair enough, okay. Where the heck are we going? This floor is broken. I know it's not actually, and it's just that my brain is broken. But I'm like, oh, there, it's the end right there, okay. It's the end of the floor as we know it. What do you think? Meme song or not meme song? I'm gonna vote meme song. A millennial, we didn't start the fire. Trying to think. You know, it's not a controversial opinion, I think, to be like, the end of the world as we know it is a meme song. REM's got a few meme songs. I think Shiny Happy People is kind of a meme song. Also very catchy. The real question is, what do you think has been classified unfairly as a meme song by the masses, but is actually just a good song that you would listen to in your downtime? I'll give you one. Kiss from a Rose by Seal. Great song. Why is it a meme? Well, distance plus ubiquity sometimes makes meme songs. Combine that with it being on the Batman Forever soundtrack, and you got a recipe for a meme song. However, also just a virtuosic performance by, you know, an R&B singer of the highest caliber. The fact that that is on the Batman soundtrack is just insane. Like, it just doesn't make any sense that that was from a Batman movie, but... Portable slot. Trying to think, there must be some others. Like, I think Twitch has some of the worst meme songs in the game. Brain Power, I'm just telling you, in my opinion, terrible song. Absolutely terrible. Sandstorm, you know, I grew up with it, but it's kind of been milked to the point of justifiable derision at this point. I'm glad I kind of, like, I didn't really miss it, but I'm glad I eschewed the era of, like, everybody doing media share song requests at all times during every stream. No offense, Corey. But I see it when I go to other people's streams for sure. Hey! I can't think of a song that I would move from the meme camp to the non-meme camp, but I'm sure they exist. There's some that I would move from not meme to meme, though. And by meme, I just mean, like, unworthy of being heard, except in the context of laughing at it. Now, it's not fair, okay? Because this is from a different era, but there's a few songs, if I never heard them again, it would be too soon. One of them, Green Day's I Hope You Had the Time of Your Life, aka Good Riddance. If you didn't, you know, if you weren't cognizant of your surroundings in the media between the years of, like, 1997 and 2002, you don't get to have an opinion on Good Riddance Time of Your Life, okay? Because that's just every season finale of every TV show. There's something unpredictable, in the end is right. It's Sylvester Stallone. You get the idea. It was too ubiquitous. It got too popular. It's too cheesy now. It's a good song. I think, like, it's hard for me to remember because I'm so, you know, against it now. I've just heard it enough that, you know, like, if I went to my best friend's wedding and they played Good Riddance, I would be like, bro, come on. Have some respect for your audience. It's a very inappropriate thing to say at, you know, your best friend's wedding. You know, it's their day. But I would still be like, get a load of this guy. Wow, I've never heard this song before. You get the idea. I think it's the benefit of, like, not listening to the radio too much. All the songs from, like, this current era of popular music that are, like, way too overplayed, I'm not too worried about them. You can play those as long as you know, as long as you want. I mean, who listens to the radio for music anymore? The radio is like, it's a car thing now. If you listen to the radio when you're... Oh, it's a car thing and an office thing. You know, if you work in an office and they keep the radio on, I understand. I used to live that lifestyle as well. I'll never forget where I was when, you know, we found out that Michael Jackson died. We were in the office because the radio said it, and it was a weekday. So obviously we were in the office. Dude, let's go. Empty Vessel is so good and doesn't negatively impact us at all. Kind of in the market for a little bit more HP, though. But surely, there's not too many people sitting around at home that have the radio turned on, right? Like, what percentage of radio listeners are passively sitting at home? I used to listen to the radio. It was a different era, but, like, the summer between 8th grade and 9th grade, I was like, I gotta stay abreast of all, like, the cultural things that are happening so that when I go to 9th grade, I can be, you know, keep up with the cool kids, right? And I could show up and be like, hey, how do you guys like that new song Clocks by Coldplay? Didn't really work out like that, but, you know, I used to call into the radio contest as well and then lie about my age and have, you know, my parents pick up the prize for me. I'd be like, you'll win a free pizza from Godfather's Pizza if you answer this skill testing question. And Austin Powers 1, what did the factory in Pittsburgh make? And I was like, miniature models of factories. I better call in quick. Everybody's going to know this right off the bat. That was a long time ago. I mean, this is like 16, 17 years ago. Nowadays, you got so many options. You can program your own radio station in a heartbeat. And I think we've universally agreed that most radio stations don't play the kind of music that you would choose to discover most of the time anyway. So, you know, you could always listen to an online radio station that's like, hey, because you like this too. Who do you... Let me put it this way. It's very... By the way, the reckoning will come for YouTube at some point, I'm sure. But what industry do you feel worse about them kind of crunching lately? I'll tell you one thing. I feel bad for newspapers, okay? Because I think that they do good work. And they just... The thing with, like, especially, like, local journalism, I think is that it's hard to compete with sensational national journalism in the first place. And then to be like, hey, we printed it all in a piece of paper that makes your hands all inky and weird when you read it. That's tough. You know, where in online, everything's so fast and, you know, sensationalized and blah, blah, blah. I feel bad for newspapers, because I feel like newspapers, for the most part, have done good work. Did they modernize quickly? Most of them did not. Yo, Necronomicon. But still, I feel a little bad for radio. And the reason is, you know, I think we're well past the golden age of radio. And like the... Well, I mean, it depends, I guess, on your music preferences. But I would think like, you know, 50s, 60s, 70s, golden age of radio. You and your friends could just hang out, listen to the radio, and be like, that was a fun day. But also, too much advertising. And I can't believe that it's the year 2018. And we still have radio ads that have either police sirens, screeching brakes, crashing cars, etc., etc. The fact that it's not even like it should be made illegal necessarily, although I think there's maybe, you know, a case to be made for that. But like, as a radio advertising, someone buying ads on the radio and making them, don't you realize that everybody's gonna hate you? Don't even give... Oh, well, it gets attention. You're making ads for the radio, not like, you know, engaging in some kind of incredible social manipulation. Like, maybe in the 80s that meant something, but now you're just like, come on down to the pizzeria, you know? You're not like a media maven. Don't give me these social engineering, you know, BS sound bites. So that's why I like... Because of that one incredibly petty reason... I love this, by the way. Loving these curses. That's why I'm not super sad that the radio's gone through some crunches. Honestly, I have no idea. What? Okay, see ya. TV, though. For many decades, you're like, I want to see sports once every 10 months. Well, that'll be $1,000 a year? Okay, that seems fair. I got very little sympathy there. That being said, I subscribe to cable. Because I want to see sports every 10 months. So, part of the problem. But anyway. One day it'll come for YouTube and Twitch. And I'll be one of those guys, I'll be like, I tried to do it honestly, and people are going to be like, yeah, Twitch streamers playing other people's copywritten music and then getting paid for it. Yelling movie quotes and getting donations from 10-year-olds. And I'll be like, well, I didn't really do that. They'll be like, yeah, shut up. You were part of the problem somehow. And I'm like, okay. Welcome to Walmart. We love you, etc., etc. Or maybe not. Who knows? Maybe YouTube will be around for the next 40 years. If YouTube dies, I would really rather it died, like, within the next, and this sounds terrible, but I would really rather it died within the next 10 years than, like, the next 30. Because I don't want to be, like, It's sad, but like it happens to people all the time. Where you're like, you work at a job until you're in your 50s, and then you get fired, or like your job no longer exists. Again, like a silent film actor with a funny voice, and then like, well, we're making talkies, and you're like, okay, where do I sign up? Not you, John. That would be a sad story for me, right? I would rather it fell apart while I was young and ambitious and motivated and awake. Whereas if you get a little older, you start to be like, I think it's hard, you know? You're like, do I have the time to listen to me whine? The other thing, you would get an extra 20 years out of it. In my head, I'm like yacht in the Cayman Islands by then, but or yeet in the Cayman Islands. Either way, you can't necessarily guarantee it, though, can you? Can't you? Can you guarantee a yacht in the Cayman Islands? Yeah, just go work for... No, I don't know where I'm going. Herbalife. Okay. So the last Isaac episode of the day for sure. I'm getting a little fuzzy commentarily speaking. I need a game that does more of the commentary work for me when I get a little later into the day. That's okay. I like them both ways. I like them both ways. Tell me when. Technology. Interesting. I think we'll take Mom's eyeshadow, though. No, I had it confused. I thought that Mom's eyeshadow was the one that gives you the tear delay, but that's tear delay down, but that's Mom's perfume. My mistake. Probably should have taken technology for the piercing shot. Not a 10 out of 10, but probably like a 6.5. You can see why I would be motivated to get a tears upgrade, though. I hope. So I'm trying to... There we go. Like with black powder, we really, if possible, up our DPS substantially doing something like that. This is the ideal wave for black powder as well. I feel like this is going to be a little tougher for us than it has been on the past few runs. I'm Drowsy was a really, really smart play here. I'm proud of myself for getting that done. I don't know if these stack at all, but... What? How did you... I was going around you in a circle, man. That seems unfair. We may choose to not do the hush fight here, and I think we would be highly justified. It's just rate of fire. If our rate of fire got handled... I think we would probably be sitting pretty. I mean, we have 15 damage. Technology would have been so much better. Just for destroying the shots that came in, but oh well. I gotta remember, like, I haven't recorded, I should say, that many Isaac episodes today, but every single one of them has been like, boss rush hush, boss rush hush, boss rush hush. It's a hard sentence to say. So it's a little bit more... I mean, here's the thing, is you don't understand how hard life as a streamer is. Sometimes I have to fight optional bosses in video games. Makes my workday 15 minutes longer. Once a year. It's just... Nobody understands how hard streamers have it, dude. I gotta stop making that joke. People are gonna start taking offense. That's behind closed doors talk, where I go, why are all these streamers tweeting about how hard life is? And then people who watch their streams who like work in a asbestos mine or like take a day if you need it. You know, it's conversations that in public will get you in trouble. Hello, my son. Welcome. Welcome. You want to get in the box? What do you want to do? Yeah, hello, buddy. It's your world. Come on up. Here you go. Oh, who's a good boy? Until he tries to eat the tea leaves from last night. Get these the heck out of here. No, don't eat that. Okay. My son, here's the, here's your box. Get in the box. Thank you. And then I will pivot you this way, so you're facing the screen. Oh, who's a good boy? My son, why did you sleep under the bed last night? You're welcome to. To some extent, it's not like it really bothers me, but it's more like You know, I'd rather you be out. Because you're kind of a big boy. And one day I'm worried you're going to eat a big meal, fall asleep under the bed, and then not be able to get out of there. Tomo sleeps on the dresser. And it's nice because we get to see our little Tomo buddy. I wake up and he's asleep, and I'm like, this is a beautiful, happy family right here. Then I gotta be like, where's Ruka? Where's Ruka? Did somebody break into our apartment overnight and steal my cat? Pretty messed up, if so. Not a very lucrative line of crime, but... I don't know, maybe just somebody being a jerk. Anyway, you're always under the bed. I don't ever wanna see... Under the bed is where I take my naps. Under the bedroom bed. This chili pepper slaps. I don't really like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but I loved them as a kid, by the way. As a teen. I don't want as a kid sounds kind of offensive. As a teenager, I was a huge fan, and then I realized at some point that every single one of their songs was just about California and cunnilingus, which doesn't that sound like it could be an album title? Well, actually, you know what? I kind of like some of their more recent singles that I've heard on the radio, even though I'm like, it's a little goofy, the robot one. I want to thank you and thank you with all your silver skin, robot. Please let me go. I'm done with this room. But as much as I'm a little bit, I poke fun at the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Under the Bridge is one of the best 50 songs from the 1990s. Please. Let's go. We all knocked Eve's mascara. What a beautiful item. And something sticky. It's like, I don't really like Soundgarden that much, which is more of a controversial opinion, I think. But you gotta give Black Hole Sun the credit it deserves, you know? It's one of the few songs I will say I like less by its inclusion in Rock Band. Every other song, the usual Rock Band loop was like, man, I never knew this song banged so hard. Black Hole Sun, I was more like, it's the first song I've ever experienced in that game that was more fun to listen to than it was to play. It might just be because I can't sing, though. It seems more likely. You know, your enjoyment with Rock Band really hinged on your level of skill with some of the instruments. Like, bass obviously is pretty simple for most songs, but like, I could sing on a hard difficulty. It would sound bad, but it would mostly mimic the note chart. It wouldn't fail many songs. On drums and guitar, everything expert. And like, this isn't braggadocious. If you think this is braggadocious, you gotta, you know, think about the things you brag about in your life. You know, we just played an ungodly amount of Rock Band and Guitar Hero in college. We were the right age. So yeah, we were playing everything. There were occasional songs, but it was like the 1% that were like, either I don't want to beat this, or I just don't want to play this, because to beat it, my arms will hurt. Battery was one of those, you know, where like, yeah, eventually, or like the Dream Theater songs, you're just like, I don't want to play these anymore. Everything else, though, it created a weird intersection, because you'd have like friends come over that didn't play the game, and they'd be like, I want to play Celebrity Skin. And you're like, and like falling asleep. And then everybody else was like, I want to play YYZ. And they're like, cool, what are the words? And you're like, don't worry about it. Wonder if rhythm games ever have a chance to make a comeback. I mean, I know that Osu exists, and, you know, there's all the Japanese and Korean, like, B-Mania games. I don't know what the genre's called. I'm always worried that I'm going to say the genre wrong. It's not a B-Mania game, it's a Bimani game. But, like, for a large home audience, I don't know. It might be one of those things that's just, like, right place, right time. It's like, yeah, I don't know if you guys have parents that are, you know... Well, my parents were born in, like, the mid-1960s, so they were the right age to... play all those like 1970s and 80s arcade games. And I will never be able to appreciate a game like Pac-Man or Joust or Galaga in the same way that my mom and dad do. You know, if we go to an arcade together, which, you know, for 15 years could never happen, but now that, like, barcades are becoming a thing, is plausible. I'm always like, put me on the pinball machine. I get pinball. It's cool. It's fun. They're always like, put me on the asteroids machine. And I'm like, Mom, I don't want to tell you this, but, like, asteroids sucks. I imagine it was great. Dude, I'm going... We can't beat Hush here. I imagine it was great when it came out. Mind-blowing technology, vector graphics. But from a modern perspective, you can appreciate the history and still be like, that game's garbage. And in my opinion, that's one of the better ones from that era as well. Did I ever tell the story about how, like, I had a Game Boy, obviously, because I was, you know, a 90s kid. And I can't remember it. I might have put on, like, my Christmas list, like, video games. My parents bought me a video game cartridge. It was probably 40 or 50 bucks. It was Defender and Joust. And they were like, we want to give you a history lesson about the video games we played. And I'm still, to this day, I'm very thankful. Like, it's not like I'm like, oh, you bought me a game that was not necessarily the best game you could have bought me. But in my head, I was kind of like, yo, you guys got screwed. You got ripped off. This is a bad game. These are two bad games. And that was in the year like 2000. Maybe 1999. Like, you got grifted. You could have gotten me Pokemon Blue. Yeah, I already own Red. But being able to get the other Pokemon is worth more than having unlimited plays of Defender and Joust. And I'll tell you, I like Joust okay. I think that game is acceptable. Defender, though, is just like, it's not for me. So, you know, maybe that's what it's going to be like for rhythm games. Like, by my kids, I'll be like, hey, kids, your brother, your sister, your mother, and I are going to be a 4-part rock band group. And then they'll be like, I don't get it, Dad. There's not enough notes on expert mode. People sucked at these games back in the day. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. And, of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. And thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya!